Welcome to the Motoring Podcast, your weekly discussion of motoring news. And this is episode 674 on Tuesday, the 10th of March, 2026. Hello, I'm Alan.
Hello, I'm Andrew. And this week you'll hear about one country's really stupid decision is coming back to haunt them. In new car news, you will learn that we're allowing stupidly big vehicles in the UK. And in points of interest, we all share the frustration of the lunchtime read. But first, we have a smidgen of follow-up, and we talked about this, I think it was last week, talking about the EU's rules for Made in Europe. And they finally released the report or the draft legislation that will be brought in by the EU Commission. The idea behind it is to, and I'm quoting from the ELECQ article here, is to boost domestic production, create jobs, and make the EU less dependent on the USA and China. This is covering a ton of sectors. Obviously, automotive is one of them. And it's pretty much what people were thinking, because it's to bring in clean technology as well. Mm-hmm. And it's also to bring that knowledge on how to produce things like batteries and how to do renewable energy at scale in terms of manufacturing. Bring that knowledge to Europe and then get hold of it. Because one of the things that you might have thought would be the case is they're trying to exclude foreign investment, foreign companies coming to Europe, because they want to be Europe only. But that's not the case as long as they invest at a significant amount and also pass on their knowledge to Europe so Europe can then start building these factories for themselves.
Yes, a lot of this is similar to President Biden's Infrastructure Act in the USA, which has been systematically torn apart over the last year. And it's trying to do essentially the same as that was trying to do, to get companies to build things locally.
The irony of what China did 20, 30 years ago, I'm chuckling daily at that with the way that the West thought it was exploiting China, and now they've had to full circle it.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's not just China in this case, but as far as the EU is concerned, it's bringing in the investment that maybe would have gone across the Atlantic, but isn't now. Mm. Admittedly, Canada, Mexico are vying for that same chunk of technology and chunk of money and investment.
Yep.
One thing about this, of course, is that it's not solely the EU. It might well have the ability to bring in other non-EU countries and introduce passports and these kinds of things, doesn't it?
Obviously, because Britain is outside of the EU thanks to the vote on Brexit, there is a real danger that the car manufacturing in this country would be excluded from being able to easily sell or export into Europe. Mm. That's a major problem, because most of the cars we build here are exported into Europe. And at the minute, we've got this deal where it's considered part of Europe for the sake of automotive. Mm. There are other industries as well, but we're just worried about automotive here. If they do not get a similar agreement in place when this is voted through, because it's only draft at the minute and it may get tweaked by the time it gets voted through and all this other stuff, but this is the first time it's out for everyone to analyse. If Britain is not considered part of Europe or does not have an agreement that they are accepted under the same rules, then companies like Nissan, and there will be a second article linked in the show notes from Autocar explaining just this, Nissan in particular would get absolutely hammered because the rules are covering all vehicles. There was hope that small EVs would be accepted in, but that's not the case. It is all vehicles. Hopefully, in terms of the UK car industry, we have clever enough politicians and civil servants who go to Europe and go, just for the car industry, can we not make this agreement? Because we've already got it for the cars already. So why don't we just extend that? And yes, we're on board with you when it comes to using batteries made locally after year 3, because we've got a couple of plants being built. You know, there's one in Sunderland already. There's another huge one being built down in near Bristol, because Europe's got a big problem where there's been 3 or 4 major battery factory projects have been canned across the continent. Therefore, they're going to need that capacity from somewhere, and here's a potential in that maybe bridges while factories then do come online because somebody else has decided, there is actually a market now, we can do this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff up in the air. There's potentially huge ramifications for the UK. Hopefully, like I say, enough clever grown-ups get together and discuss this and work it through so that it doesn't decimate the UK car industry. Because people will... Nissan have openly said, if this does come in and Britain is excluded, we will shut Sunderland.
Yeah, well, I can quite understand why. Should we move on?
Yes, it's near the beginning of the month.
It is, which means obviously there's last month's SMMT new car registration figures. For February 2026, the new car market rose 7.2%, with 90,100 vehicles being registered.
An astonishingly high number, Alan.
It is an astonishingly high number for a short month. It is the highest number for a February since 2004.
Tell us about battery electric vehicle volumes.
They're up 2.8% overall. Year-to-date, battery electric vehicle share is at 22%. That's quite impressive compared to when we first started this podcast.
That's astonishing compared to when we first started.
It is astonishing, yeah. Well, it was 2%. However, there's something crazy is going to have to happen before it can actually reach the mandated 33% that it's meant to reach this year. A number reached by fantasy figures.
Well, yes, we've discussed that. But here's the other thing as well, is last year and the year before, it was agreed that this figure wasn't as set in stone as people thought because there was ability to
fudge it.
Yes, you then go over averages over several years and whatever, but I can't remember because I haven't had a chance to dig out the regulations, whether that actually may be running out now, and now it is getting into that is the year figure, that is the year figure. But 33% is nigh on impossible at this point, looking at that.
Yeah, even though we're into the second month of the year, it's going to have to be something mad.
What were the registrations via the fuel that you put in it?
Battery electric vehicles, as we said, up 2.8%. They 24.2% market share in February. Hybrid electric vehicles, up 3.3%, 13.1% market share. Plug-in hybrids, at 11.6% of the market, and that's up 43.5%. For petrol-only and mild hybrids, 46.5% of the market. That's up 5.2%. And diesel, 4.5% of the market, down 3.8%. Overall, 90,100 vehicles registered, and as I said, up 7.25%. The top models list for February is, I don't know, I always feel these are very small numbers these days, given just the number of models there are on the market. But here we go anyway. Number 10, the Hyundai Tucson, 1,222. Number 9, the Ford Kuga, 1,286. Number 8, the Vauxhall Corsa, 1,335. Number 7, the Volkswagen Tiguan. Number 6, the Volvo XC40. Number 5, the Jaiku 7, with 1,446 registered. So we're still within 224 vehicles from 10th to 5th. Number 4, the Tesla Model 3, 1,584. Number 3, the Mini Cooper, 1,828. And then finally, there's a bit of a step to number 2, the Kia Sportage with 2,205. And last but not least, well ahead by over 1,015 registrations, the Ford Puma with 3,220 registrations.
Mm-hmm. I will take us through to the spreadsheet of generally not doom this week.
It isn't. No, I have lots to talk about.
Yes, and I have to scroll all the way down to the letter C and Chevrolet, who has a minus 100% drop. Last year they registered 16 and none in February 2026.
And yet there might be a comeback.
Yes, well, stay tuned for later in the show. DS is down 77%. Fiat is down 69%.
Sorry, can we just get that down 77% for DS? DS is essentially dead. They registered 5 vehicles last month.
Yeah.
5. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
When we talk about Stellantis and they have too many brands, I really do feel DS has got to go.
It's top of the list.
Because I think you can incorporate some of what they've done into Citroën.
Yeah.
You know, like Citroën used to.
Yeah, like as it's a spin-off of Citroën. Yeah.
Whereas I don't see the same these days between Seat and Cupra. Whereas in the early days, I did. I think they are very different companies now.
They're far more distinct.
Yes.
In their separation than DS and Citroën. Anyway, sorry. My apologies.
Yeah, on to Genesis. They are down 55%. Honda is down 39%. Jaguar, surprising no one, is down 100%.
One was registered, by the way.
Yes, somehow. Jeep is down 33%. Lexus is down 23%. Lotus is down 66%. Maxus is down 100%. Last year they registered 11, this year none. Mini is down 23%. Nissan is down 33%. Then Porsche is down 17%. Well, this is actually quite a drop when you think about it in terms of numbers of actual cars and the money, because last year they registered 603, this year 499. Now you consider how large their profit margin is with the per vehicle. That's a lot of money that has not gone out the door.
Yeah.
Seat is down 33%, Tesla is down 37%, and other imports is down 63%. Alan, you have many, many greens in which to run through.
Braced myself here. Alfa Romeo up 77%. Alpine up 1,033%, winning the Not Sponsored by MG award.
Yes.
Audi up 17%. BYD up 83%. Citroën up 83%. It must be all the DS sales that have incorporated. Sales registrations. Cupra up 16%. Dacia up 25%. Ford up 37%. GWM up a nice round 40%. Ineos up 225% with 13 instead of 4 vehicles registered. Or at least vehicles which aren't counted as commercial vehicles. Jaiku up 180%. KGM up 178%, Land Rover up 29%, Maserati up 18%, Mazda up 25%, Mercedes up 34%, Omoda up 148%, Polestar up 31%, Renault up 17%, Skoda up 17%, Smart up 23%, Subaru up 33%, Suzuki up 78%, and last but not least within our thresholds, Vauxhall up 16%.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Hawes, the SMMT Chief Executive's statement is as follows. UK's new car market is continuing to recover and EV volumes are growing too, even if market share remains disappointing. All eyes are now on New Plate March, which typically sets the tone for the year. And given sales of new pure petrol and diesel cars are currently required to end in less than 4 years, EV uptake must accelerate rapidly. Manufacturers have committed monumental investment to drive demand, but such costs cannot be sustained indefinitely, making a review of the transition an urgent priority to ensure ambition matches natural demand.
This week, SMMT is having an EV summit. Expect to hear that message that ended that out much louder, I would anticipate.
Yes.
Is how that's going to happen. I don't know quite how that will be received considering what's happening to oil prices, though, at the moment, and whether that is then seen as, well, you should shift to EV quicker because it's impacted less by the oil price changes, although obviously, because of the way the world works and how global economies and local economies work, oil prices go up, that affects everything.
Absolutely everything.
Surprisingly cracking month. Let's see how March goes.
I saw someone predicting record numbers for March.
Yeah, I saw that on the 2nd of March.
Yeah. I'm suspicious.
All I'll say is there are over 31,000 cars on Auto Trader that have less than 100 miles on them. Not saying that Auto Trader is the be-all and end-all, but it is perhaps a barometer.
Yeah, that's what we're keeping an eye on.
Anyway, let's move on from that. And there was a tax tribunal recently in which the claim was that the VAT charge on public EV charge points should be in line with domestic, which is 5%, not 20%. Deloitte actually went through this whole calculation. They produced their sums and their workings out, and they have won the tribunal, and he has agreed with them because the existing VAT law, and I'm quoting from an EV-powered article that is linked in the show notes, the existing VAT law states that provision of less than 1,000 kilowatt-hour of energy to a person at any premises counts as domestic supply, and should therefore be subject to the lower 5% domestic VAT rate. It's virtually impossible for one single person to have used up 1,000 kilowatt-hour of energy in a month.
Well, for vehicle charging. I liked the paragraph here in the story, which says, the 1,000 kilowatt-hour limit is equivalent to fully charging the new 108 kilowatt-hour BMW iX3 from 0 to 100% more than 9 times. At its official range of 500 miles, that equates to more than 4,000 miles of driving per month.
And we no longer have that many photocopiers out there that need their replacement media.
Andrew, it's not a photocopier, it's a physical duplication solution, okay?
Sorry, yes.
Sorry, physical media duplication solution. But I thought that was quite an interesting way of arguing it. And that then Deloitte could come along with the sums and go, well, it's personal. That means 5% VAT, not the 20% VAT. Obviously, this doesn't change anything in the law, but it is but it is a strong indicator that Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs are going to have trouble then arguing that it should retain the 20% VAT rating.
Yes.
By their own rules.
And I think that will be added. This will be like a pincer movement, because I think the political pressure will come to bear soon. Because whilst there will be calls for review and changes to the zero-emission vehicle mandate, I think putting the VAT on commercial or public charging down to 5% is an easy political win. If we had anybody with enough foresight and intelligence to spot that and therefore take advantage of that.
There is a part of a paragraph here that says, in January it was reported that the Treasury was considering giving in to these calls amid fears over the impact of the 3 pence per mile tax on EVs coming in 2028. You know, the one that you just have to hand over your mileage no matter whether or not you've done it in the UK or not.
Yeah.
Next up then, news from both Toyota and Stellantis that they're going to pull out. So, how much background do I need to give here? I think I need to give some background.
Yes.
Right at the minute, there is a system between car manufacturers where you can sort of pool CO2 credits around Europe.
Yes.
So that if you sell cars that emit over whatever the threshold is of CO2s on CO2 or on average or on aggregate, then you can buy credits from someone who has too many credits to make up your credits. So it's a kind of credit balancing thing. Now, obviously, there's a couple of manufacturers around the place that have a surplus of these credits, mostly because they only sell electric vehicles. The two that jump to mind immediately are Leap Motor, no pun was intended, but it happens to be there, and also Tesla, who you might have heard of.
Polestar.
Polestar is another, yes.
But their volume may not be high enough.
Well, that's it. You see, Tesla had all electric and relatively high volumes until recently, where the volumes have plunged significantly.
Yes.
Challenge for Tesla with the numbers plunging significantly is actually less to do with the price of the cars and stuff and more to do with how many EV credits they have or CO2 credits they have against their name. And historically, until very recently, the only way Tesla ever made money or reported profits was down to the CO2 credit trading.
Yep.
For Toyota and Stellantis, two groups which previously have needed quite a lot of credits.
Well, Toyota hasn't.
Toyota's not been so bad, but Stellantis kind of has.
For a long time, Toyota was leading the world in terms of lowering CO2 emissions before they then sat on their hands when EVs became very much a thing.
The ridiculous part of that being, of course, most of Tesla came about because Toyota was buying batteries from Tesla. That was what funded the development of the Model S. It's a very circular world, and people do tend to forget these things.
Yeah.
Toyota and Stellantis pulling out across Europe, it will make a significant hit in the number of credits that Tesla can sell, and therefore the amount of profit that Tesla can make. Companies still in that pool, by the way, the Tesla pool, are Ford, Honda, Mazda, and Suzuki. We may well find that Suzuki changes its tune relatively soon. But no, as Toyota are expanding the number of EVs that they sell, and of course, apart from the GR Yaris, and even then that's kind of tricky. I think it's hard to find a volume model from Toyota that is not a hybrid now. Not now that the Aygo Cross has gone hybrid. I'm running it through in my mind and I can't think of one.
I think they've at least got mild.
Yeah. I mean, even the Hilux is at least mild now.
Yeah.
And the Land Cruiser too.
Land Cruiser as well, yeah, I knew that.
Anyway, so that's what's happening there. Tesla, significant impact to the pool that it can that's going to be trading within.
But it doesn't matter because they're an AI and robotic company now.
Yes. Really good video from Chris Broad in Japan out today about humanoid robots, actually. Never mentions Tesla, talks about humanoid robots and the challenges of humanoid robots. Sorry, pretty much irrelevant to the Motoring Podcast in just about any other way. It was a really good video. It's only 15 minutes long too, which is nice.
Well, talking of Suzuki, as you laid huge hints before in the last article, Suzuki has acquired Canadivia, which is a Japanese solid-state battery manufacturer that used to be known as Hitachi Zosen before they renamed in 2024. And I think this is really interesting for a number of reasons. One, because this company's been working on developing solid states for 20 years, and the idea is that they're getting pretty close to it now. But the other thing is, Suzuki isn't one of the big three. And up to now, they've had to often sort of feed off scraps, do deals with the larger companies, sort of partnerships on certain models and things like that. I mean, we're seeing it with we've seen it with Toyota with some of their vehicles they've done.
Urban Cruiser and stuff.
Yeah. They did it previously with the Corolla that they rebadged.
Swace.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, now you say it.
I saw one the other day. That's the only reason because I noticed one the other day.
But if, and this is always the big if with solid-state batteries at the moment, if solid-state batteries can be made into a thing that is easily produced for the car industry, because I've heard that there are some in other industries.
Well, sorry, Canadivia are one of the leaders in this because they have worked with the Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency, or JAXA, and they have had a solid-state battery installed on the outside of the International Space Station since 2022. So they have been kind of testing it under extremes and testing that it still works in vacuums, under extreme radiation, and temperature fluctuations. And it's been certified as use as suitable for space applications. Now, obviously, space applications can withstand a higher price threshold than EVs, funnily enough. But I think it's interesting to show that it has been proven not just that it can be a thing, but it actually is a thing.
Mm.
And obviously now the challenge is okay, let's do volume manufacture.
Yeah.
That's what's needed here. But the actual technology is proven, and that's far more than many other companies who are looking to use stuff for automotive.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been a lot of, this is solid state, and it turns out, well, not really solid state in some instances. Others are making claims that are being hotly disputed about their equipment.
Don't talk about hotly in relationship to battery technologies.
No thermal events were initiated. But obviously, as we keep saying, if someone can make solid states a usable, realistic thing to deploy on the car industry, this will make such a difference and remove so many of the arguments against adopting an EV because your range will be bigger, the cars will be lighter. I mean, think about K cars. And if you're getting like 300-mile range in the tiny battery pack, it just ends the argument, doesn't it?
Which is one of Suzuki's strongest sectors, of course. Just because we don't see them here doesn't mean they don't exist.
The Ignis, fantastic. Imagine an Ignis with a solid-state battery. That would be awesome. Or the Swift. Oh, please. Yes, do that. I like the fact that they have gone out and they are trying to sort the solution themselves and not rely on others. I think this is actually a really clever move, and I really, really hope it pays off for them.
Yeah.
Because not to go game changer down that sort of cliched route, but this would make such a huge, huge impact on the car industry.
Yeah.
Because it would show smaller players you can do it.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to the other extreme?
Electric Ignis is wonderful. And at the other end, we've got WRIGHTBUS are going to supply 31 battery electric double-decker buses to the Isle of Wight. Southern Vectis, which is part of the Go Ahead group, is introducing 31 battery electric double-decker buses into service, built by WRIGHTBUS and funded by the UK Department of Transport's Zebra 2, Zero Emission Bus Regional Areas. There was an acronym looking for some words, wasn't it? £10.7 million invested in these. Isle of Wight Council contributed £733,000, which is an awful lot of money in 1935.
Oh, wow, we're going there, are we? So we are really going to annoy all our listeners on the Isle of Wight here.
All three of them.
Because I was expecting you to say something about electricity being then suddenly having to be worked out how to make that arrive in the Isle of Wight.
Well, that is the big worry, isn't it? Yes. They've got the buses, but do they actually have the electricity to run it?
Please send all your loving mail to, oh dear, did we just upset you, at P.O. Box?
London W1A 4WW.
But these are actually impressive features on these double-deckers. It's like 275-mile range.
Yeah.
Considering you're on the Isle of Wight, and I'm not joking, I'm not winding people up here, but considering your footprint is the Isle of Wight,
that's a fair number of laps of the island, and that's not a urine extraction, by the way. That is quite a lot of. That's quite impressive, given that they're probably not going to leave the island very often.
So how often they need to be charged as well, which then helps the operator.
What they've done to do this, so all jokes aside, Southern Vectis have overhauled their Newport depot. They've installed dedicated charging infrastructure to support this, where they're going to be charging them exclusively overnight. But a full recharge for double-decker is expected to take between 3.5 and 4 hours, which is pretty impressive, really.
That's not bad.
Yeah, but they've not revealed full technical details of the charging setup, supposedly.
And more of this, and I love the fact that the government has actually, and this is me complimenting the government, they've actually got in place funds for the regional areas, and it's not just the southeast. Right, I'm going to take us on, because we have waffled a lot in the first part of this show.
We really have. Well, there's been a lot of stuff to cover.
Yes. But the last piece that we're going to refer to on the first part of the show is from the Register, and it is a late entry, but important one, I feel, needs to be shared. And it is titled EV Charger Biz ELECQ. ELECQ. If you know how that's pronounced better than me, then do feel free to let me know. Zapped by ransomware crooks, customer contact data stolen. Now, they got in via the AWS platform. Oh, it's going so well for Amazon at the moment. The AWS platforms. And they detected some unusual activity, and then they quickly, once they realized what it was, stopped that. There is still investigations. This happened on the 7th of March. There is still investigations going into how long they were in, how much data, what sort of data. The ELECQ is a Chinese company that builds smart EV charging gear for homes and businesses. And it says that the compromised data, again, I'm quoting from the Register article, compromised data is limited to fairly standard account details, names, email addresses, phone numbers, and home addresses, almost implying that that's okay. and this makes me so angry when I hear this sort of thing these days, but I don't know whether that's the emphasis from the register rather than from the company, so I don't want to have a go at the company just yet, because I haven't read their official statement. They are quick to point out, though, that the charging devices themselves have not been compromised, and they are fully secure and operational. The ELECQ has informed the UK's Information Commissioner's Office and Germany's Federal Commission for Data Protection and Freedom of Information. There may be more customers across the European market, but if you have something from ELECQ, be aware, pay attention to your emails, get your spidey senses ramped up to number 11, be careful of any communication. Yes, change your password. Be very careful of any communication, particularly ones that ask for you to click links for you to submit information, particularly bank stuff and that sort of thing. Go and look up online how to protect yourself after a potential hack, because we aren't giving the full information here. And make sure that you are careful. Or if you know someone or a business that has one of these chargers or many of these chargers, then let them know as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Will everyone just take this more seriously, for crying out loud? Sorry.
Can I take us into Guilt Minute now?
Please do.
Okay. It's Guilt Minute. A quick break in the show where we ask for a tad of financial support to keep the lights on and the hosting running. If you feel that Motoring Podcast is worth a small consideration every month, then you can become a patron. Different levels of patron include different levels of commitment from us to you, including being able to watch the show recorded live. We have a small range of merchandise in our spring store, from stickers to mugs and t-shirts. If you don't have any spare cash, we do completely understand, then you can help us by following for free from a podcast player to receive every show as they're released, and by liking and rating the show whatever your podcast supplier lets you. If you've done all that, and some of you do, so thank you very much, then the last thing you can do is to recommend us to your friends or colleagues.
Thank you, everyone that does. And thank you for everyone who continues to subscribe on YouTube. I've noticed the number is going up. And thank you very much for the nice comments as well on the... I know it is just a static image, but you still listen, not watch, I presume. Listen. And you say nice things, so thank you very much.
And you can, if you want to listen in the car or whatever, then you can use YouTube Music to stream the episode.
Yep.
That works really quite well, actually.
Mm-hmm. New car news, Alan?
Yes, new car news. Genesis has launched, or at least made the UK debut of the GV60 Magma.
Is it Magma because it's so hot it's from the centre of the earth?
Yeah, with 641 brake horsepower and a drift mode as well. It's supposed to go on sale in the second half of this year and is currently on display at the Genesis studio in Battersea Power Station until early March. This is the first of the Magma line of high-performance cars that are going to be coming from Genesis. If some of those specs around it sound familiar, it's because the drivetrain is basically shared with the Hyundai Ioniq 5N. Not a lot of shocks there, but it's a twin-motor powertrain putting up 650 metric horses, 583 pound-feet of torque. That delivers a 0 to 62 time in just 3.4 seconds using its launch control setting. It also gets a boost mode, which has been enhanced, and you access it via a Magma button on the steering wheel.
Do you have to wear oven gloves to press it?
Yeah, I think so, yes. At least racing gloves anyway, but not string-backed ones. You can only get that full 641 imperial horsepower and 583 pound-feet of torque. I know, both units are used throughout this article for 15 seconds at a time. That's 5 more seconds than the 10 seconds you get in the regular car with its boost mode. The regular GV60, by the way, is more than rapid enough.
I was going to ask about this because I've always liked the look of it and I've never driven one. And I know it's got the special spangly drive selector crystal ball.
I've passengered one because a friend of ours had one as a long-termer for a while. And he insists on demonstrating it. I remember I sat in one at an SMMT, but I didn't drive it because it hadn't been released. I don't think I've driven one.
Okay.
But I've definitely passengered one, and it was demonstrated to me in the slushy wet nastiness of January last year. Similar to the 5N and the Kia EV6 GT, you also get Active Sound Design Plus and a virtual gear shift, which simulate the sound and feel of a sequential transmission, which Andrew hates with a passion, so I'm going to say that and then move on. You also get it lowered 20 mil, and the track is 50 millimeters wider for better stability. Big brakes, big discs, orange paint, orange bits in the seats, orange glows everywhere to show it's Magma. I really like it, actually. Prices to start in the region of £75,000.
Anyway, something there is less to like, though.
Oh, no, there's an awful lot of it to like if you like it.
Well, there's a lot of it, but to like it, well, that's up to you. However, because of special rules in the UK, the GM Specialty Vehicles UK will now be able to offer things like the Cadillac Escalade and other enormous vehicles from Chevrolet and GMC, as well as Cadillac. Because this is all going to be via the Clive Sutton dealership. At the moment, there is only the one dealership in the UK that is going to be bringing these vehicles in, but they are going to have all the stuff sorted. Because up to now, as someone not a million miles away from me on a digital screen will attest, you've only been able to do personal imports of vehicles from America that are not normally sold over here.
Well, yes, it's all to do with like headlamps and all that kind of fun thing.
Yeah.
Trust me.
But do we really honestly need the...
No.
Let's have a look. Well,
they're all left-hand drive.
SUV, and they're all left-hand drive. Yeah, it says there's not going to be a right-hand drive. There is the Suburban. Obviously, that will work really well in the UK.
In the suburbs, yeah.
Yes. And the Chevrolet Tahoe.
Stop it. The Chevy Tahoe.
Well, that's how much thought and care I have for these vehicles. I can't be bothered even pronouncing the names properly or even making a fist at it.
GMC Yukon Denali will cost about £110,000. If you go for a GMC Sierra 1500, which is similar in size to a Chevrolet Silverado, but better built, these washers on the bolts or something, then UK prices will start at £73,000 plus VAT. It points out here in this motoring research article that it's capable of towing more than 6 tons, which immediately makes it a commercial vehicle. Don't do that unless you've registered it appropriately.
And have a suitable license.
And have suitable licenses. If you want something a bit more affordable than that, then a Silverado 1500 LT Trail Boss will be about £66,000 plus VAT. Escalade starts at £149,950. What I'm really trying to explain to you here is these are not suddenly going to be appearing in the top models lists each month.
No, it's going to be the very worst of society who get them, though.
Very small. So, this is a wonderful access point, and it does make it much easier for footballers and general undesirables to acquire these vehicles, perhaps, via a lottery win or something.
If ever a vehicle screams, "Police, please pull me over."
Honestly, it's talcum powder. What amazed me, so I was telling Andrew sorry, I know I shouldn't really waffle because we've gone long this week, but friends and colleagues would come over from the UK to the US and they would get in my legs and go, "Why have you bought such a big car?" It's like, I really haven't. No, it is. Look, it's 7 seasons. Yeah, but it's not a big car. And then we'd go somewhere and we'd park and we'd go off and we'd look around all the discount outlets, because that's what you have to do when you have visitors in the US. And discount outlets just come back to go to the car and go, "Where's the car?" It's like, well, that really big car that you were on about? Well, it's hidden behind those two. You see that GMC Yukon and that Suburban there? It's behind those, but you can't see it because it's too small. So, yes, they are, even in the US, these are seen as really very big. And they are more of a novelty item than a vehicle, I think.
Yes, absolutely. Right, Alan, do you want to round out new car news with not even a new car but already dead news?
Yes, the Lamborghini Lanzador EV has been cancelled. Really, it's been cancelled because it shared a platform with Porsche. Porsche have declared that they're not developing that platform. And really, everyone's saying, well, there's collapsing demand. Really, there's collapsing demand because, of course, the United States of America and current times mean that EVs are all of a sudden a really bad thing. Well, they were until about 10 days ago. that they may well make a resurgence. But yeah, all of a sudden nobody's interested in EVs anymore because America, and that really there needs to be the demand in the US to make these vehicles viable, and there isn't.
But also China's market has the Western car companies or non-Chinese car companies have really struggled in recent years, and it's getting worse and worse, particularly for the VW group itself.
The combination of the two are really what's killed off this particular platform right at the moment. Platform's gone, therefore there's no space for this. By the way, I hadn't realized until I read this article from, again, Motoring Research, that Lamborghini has an entirely plug-in hybrid range. Every Lamborghini is a plug-in hybrid. No, I know. I thought that was quite a cool thing, actually.
Yeah. Well, I never. Anyway, we're going to move on to points of interest now.
I'll put them on my list for next time I'm looking for a new car.
Yes, quite. Just check down the back of the couch for some loose change. But from points of interest, and our lunchtime read is from Haggerty, and the title is The Great Disgrace. UK potholes put drivers off taking to the road. Alan put this in the running order, and then I opened it, and I just felt it hit home on a couple of levels for me. First of all, I have not been shy in saying how dreadful our roads are around here, how utterly appalling locally. Mm-hmm. And then when I've gone elsewhere, I was on a drive day recently, and the roads were so bad that there was splits down the middle of the tarmac.
Yeah,
and you sort of go, how this disgrace is the right word for it, considering the country we're meant to be. But the state of disrepair is absolutely appalling. And us patching up things, putting a sticky plaster over the holes is just not good enough. There should be a huge amount of investment into our infrastructure, but that's a fundamental issue that will never get fixed. The other thing is, there's 2 points. First, I had a car recently, a high-performance vehicle, and I love this car. I've loved all the previous versions I've tried.
I don't, so you can all guess what it is.
Yeah, we've yet to record the review. There's many more to record before that. But I had a miserable time. It wasn't the car's fault, per se, but I had a miserable time, and part of that was the state of the roads. There was no way I could drive remotely near the speed limit on particular roads I was at, because the roads were so bad, in such a shocking state. And when it comes to starting the early work of looking at a replacement for our Berlingo, I am narrowed down my search to particular types of cars, and I can see why people go for SUVs, even though they're not my favourite type of car. Totally see why people go for SUVs, because you think, I need something hopefully a bit more robust and with the sidewall.
I drove the Germany Cross 5 last week, and whilst you could make more progress than you can in the Lexus, yes, the occasional pothole or ripple on the road.
Stressful. It's stressful.
And there was a quite significant bang. It was like, yeah, absolutely. By the way,
this is a great article from Nick Berg. Sorry, piece. It's not an article, but piece.
And thanks to Jim McGill for suggesting it, by the way. That's where it came.
Oh, right. Great. Good choice, Jim. I like that one a lot.
List of the week, then. List of the week this week it's an absolute cracker. This is one of the best we've had for a long time. This is really good. I think I said that recently too, and this is well up there. It's by Greg Potts. It's from BBC Top Gear, and it is 25 of the coolest mid-engine concept cars that never made production. There's 25. Andrew, I introduced the article, so you get to pick first.
Yeah, I'll just take 24 of them, please.
Same. This is the problem, actually. This one is not a case of finding one that you like. It's finding the one you like most.
Yes, it's how do you pick? However, I have, and it was astonishingly difficult, but I have picked the Ferrari Modulo. There was another one I was so close to picking, but I thought, no, this. I love the way that it opens for you to get in and out. Obviously, where the engine is sited, when you lift up the engine cover, that's just an amazing. This photograph is amazing to demonstrate this vehicle.
Now, the Modulo is an interesting one because originally, I believe, it wasn't drivable.
Oh, right.
But it was bought by an American collector a few years ago. Now, somebody will correct me if I'm wrong on this. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. And now he invested a lot of time and money in making it so it is actually drivable.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm sure there must be other stories on that. Maybe that'd be a good one for lunchtime read next week, actually, if we can find a story about that. I'm sure I've seen something.
But you look at that interior, and that really emphasizes Looking Out's recent new episode.
No.
It really emphasizes the points they were making when talking about a Ferrari interior, I feel. Even from this distance.
If you people who listen to this podcast haven't listened to the latest Looking Out, I mean, do you remember the Ferrari Luce interior caused quite a lot of consternation between Andrew and I? Go and listen to Looking Out because it's so good. If that kind of thing interests you, go listen to it because the discussions around that are so good.
It's only on podcast players. It's not on. It's not a YouTube video.
It's not on YouTube
this time,
but it is on Apple Podcasts. Really good, really excellent.
I'll put a link in the Apple Podcast in the show notes to it because it's an excellent episode. It's lovely to have them back for starters after the hiatus, and they sounded so chilled.
Yeah,
and yes, only lunatics do a weekly show with no breaks for 10 years or more.
Yeah, you've got to be total morons.
Alan, come on then.
Peugeot Quasar.
Can you
Peugeot
pick?
Quasar.
Okay.
Peugeot Quasar.
Scrolling back up.
It's right at the top.
Yeah, I nearly picked that straight off.
I know.
When I just scrolled down, I was like, oh, well, yeah, that. And then I went to the next one and went, oh, yeah, well, that. And then the next one, that.
That is the problem with this. And then I came right back. Also, I've seen this one in real life. It's in the Peugeot Museum at Sochaux in France. And honestly, just seeing that in real life, when my first experience of it was the Matchbox toy one in white, although I have ones in other colorways now too, but the white, and then seeing it in real life was so awesome, so cool.
Do you remember when car manufacturers teased us with all glass?
Yeah.
With huge levels of glass, and now look at us looking out of letterboxes.
In 1994, it was shown off as having navigation systems with a CRT monitor in the dashboard, all that kind of stuff. It's very cool. It's as cool in real life as it looks in pictures. In fact, if not cooler. So that's one of my favorites. This is such a good list, everyone. I know so many of you go, oh, I must look. Do you listen along? You think, I must check that later. And then you forget to. Please, 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 I recommend that you do, because stuff like this is absolutely cracking.
I mean, basically the cover art, the cover picture alone is worth looking at.
That's the Modulo, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but it's in action, so that just backs up what you were saying.
It just reminds me that I need to get to life. Anyway.
Very good, very good. Anyway, moving on now, and we round out with the and finally. And this, I don't know if you've seen it, but this is from Saturday Night Live, and it is on YouTube, a video of their car song. And it really is worth a watch. And then, once you've watched it, you need to remember that the leading region when it comes to car safety at the moment is China, because China have outlawed electric door handles that hide into cars, and they must have a easily operable and mechanical door handle
on the inside. Well, this one is mostly about the inside, but I think it's really interesting that this has. I think one of the reasons why I flagged this when I added it is because it shows that these problems are, and recognition of these problems is transitioning into the mainstream as opposed to just amongst nerds like us who have been grumbling about it for ages.
Yeah.
And, there's almost 1,100 comments on this.
It's like the touchscreen stuff, and I'm seeing increasing numbers of people talking about ADAS. And anyone who's listened to the show for any length of time knows how much I've harped on about that. How bad it is.
I have, yes, I've noticed. Yes.
Yeah, you might have, just about. But yeah, do watch this. Watch this video, and then then realize how much it is hit home.
Yes, absolutely. Anyway, on which note, I think that's us this week. We probably waffled for more than long enough. No particular parish notes?
Not that I know of.
No, not other than what we discussed earlier. That means that, don't forget, between now and next week, you can give us any feedback, share your thoughts for the show at motoringpodcast.com on Blue Sky, at Motoring Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and on the contact page of www.motoringpodcast.com, the hub of all our activities. Remember, you can support us financially via Patreon, and please leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or however your podcast app lets you do such a thing. Andrew, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Probably the best way to get in touch with me at the moment is via LinkedIn if you search for my name. And Alan, if people would like to get in touch with you personally, what's the best way for particularly if they have some comments about the Isle of Wight and how angry they are at your comments about the Isle of Wight, how should they do that personally?
They can use Blue Sky, where I'm at AJP Bradley. That's BRADLEY.bsky.social. I'm on LinkedIn as well. Sometimes. Much of the time. We'll be back very soon. But until then, I've been Alan Bradley.
I've been Andrew Clues.
And safe motoring.